Iran holds the world record for the execution of women and the per capita execution rate among all countries. The clerical regime has executed 121 women in Iran since 2013, which is an average of 15 women per year. The actual number of executions and the number of women executed is much higher. The clerical regime carries out most of the executions secretly and out of the public eye. These executions have no witnesses except for those who implement them. The Women's Committee of the National Council of Resistance of Iran has previously announced that many women condemned to death have committed murder in self-defense against domestic violence. The Iranian resistance calls for the abolishment of the death penalty in Iran. According to Iran Human Rights Report on Women and Death Penalty in Iran on the occasion of World Day Against the Death Penalty, at least 164 women were executed between 2010 to October 2021. Of those, 6 were child brides and 1 woman, Soheila Abedi, was an Aruz Kunbaz, a bride offered by one tribe to the opposing tribe to stop the bloodshed. Within the marriage itself, a woman does not have the right to divorce, even in cases of domestic violence and abuse, which are hidden in cultural codes and language. In 66% of the known murder cases, the women were convicted of killing their husband or partner. Soheila Abedi, a victim of early marriage, is sentenced to death for murdering her husband in 2015. Soheila Abedi was married at age 15. Born in 1989, Abedi comes from Bihar in Iran's northwestern Kurdistan province. She killed her husband on January 23, 2015. In Iran, a woman does not have the right to divorce within the marriage, even in cases of domestic violence and abuse, which are hidden in cultural codes and language. In 66% of cases of known homicide, the women were found guilty of murdering their husband or romantic partner. The Supreme Court has upheld the death decree for Soheila Abedi. She has been told that if she cannot obtain the consent of the victim's family, she will be executed, and the family of her late husband never forgive her, so she was executed. She was detained in the Reform and Rehabilitation Center of the prison of Snindai. Abedi, 33, had become a child bride at the age of 15 and was arrested on the charge of premeditated murder of her husband. She was sentenced to retribution in kind. On the 26th of July, the Abedi and Beheshti were moved to solitary cells for the execution of their sentences. The second woman was Faranak Beheshti. Faranak Beheshti was arrested about 5 years before her execution on the charge of premeditated murder of her husband and was also sentenced to retribution in kind. Beheshti comes from Takab in West Azerbaijan province. On July 27, 2022, 2 women prisoners Faranak Beheshti and were executed in Iran. Soheila Abedi was executed in the central prison of Snindai, Kurdistan province, while Faranak Beheshti was executed in the central prison of Urumiyeh, West Azerbaijan province. Taking into account the death penalties for the 2 women in the central prison of Urumiyeh and the central prison of Snindai, the number of women executed in Iran since the summer of 2013 reached 139. On July 21, 2022, a woman named Rababdinai was also executed in the central prison of Yazd. She suffered a heart attack moments before being executed along with 2 other men. The Nkri Women's Committee has previously announced that many of the women executed by the mullahs regime are victims of domestic violence against women and have acted in self-defense. The Iranian regime open-handedly uses the death penalty in Iran as a form of punishment. In many cases, religious and ethnic minorities, political dissidents, and women are targets of the death penalty in a discriminatory manner. In 2019, the mullahs regime hanged 16 women in tandem with increasing suppression and executions in Iran. In December 2019, 6 women were executed by the regime in various Iranian prisons. The regime also executed 18 women in 2021, 7 from November 22 to December 21, 2021. Many women are currently on death row in Iran. On July 15, 2022, a woman named Mina received the death penalty in Tehran. In the first half of 2022, at least 251 people, including 6 women and 67 members of the Baloch minority, were put to death. This is more than double the 117 executions that occurred during the same time period in 2021. In the first half of 2022, at least 251 people, including 6 women and 67 members of the Baloch minority, were put to death. This is more than double the 117 executions that occurred during the same time period in 2021. Death by retribution is carried out on persons convicted of murder, regardless of their motives. During a series of major revelations, the National Council of Resistance of Iran published extensive information obtained from the clerical regime's judicial system, including the prisons organization. According to the statistics registered by the Office of the Prisons Organization, 5,197 people are on death row or sentenced to cases. Of these, 1,366 are sentenced to death, including 39 women. Another 3,831 prisoners, including 144 women, have a sentence of cases or retribution. 60 death row prisoners were under 18 at the time of the alleged offense in 2020. The documents also list the names of 51 persons, including 23 women, sentenced to death by stoning and 107 prisoners sentenced to amputation. More than 250 people executed in first 6 months of 2022. According to new research by Amnesty International and Abdurrahman Baruman Center for Human Rights in Iran, more than 250 people were executed in Iran in the first 6 months of 2022. In the statement, the two organizations warned that if executions continue at this horrifying pace, they will soon surpass the total of 314 executions recorded in Iran during the whole of 2021. Most 146 of those executed had been convicted of murder amid well-documented patterns of executions in Iran being carried out following grossly unfair trials. At least 86 others were executed for drug-related offenses which, according to international law, should never incur the death penalty. Thank you for watching Death Row.